So, a word that has been thrown around a lot has been the word bioactive.
hmm
When you think of OsteoGen and bioactive, how would you describe that?
That's a great question. It's bioactive. I look at it bioactive on two levels. I look at it on an ion exchange level, and then I look at it as a physical level also. So on the ion exchange level, what it does is it changes that environment, and as the crystals are broken down, and these are crystals that are not heat treated, so they haven't been sintered, and therefore they're highly porous. They're intertwined. They break down in the fluids of the socket. And what they do is they provide calcium, phosphate, and hydroxyl groups. And those three ions are extremely important for new bone growth, right? We have calcium, which is going to help convert osteoblasts into osteocytes, also providing a mineralized portion for that changeover. We've got phosphate, which is going to encourage osteoblasts to come into the site in the first place. And then we have the hydroxyl groups, which are changing that localized environment to be a more alkaline environment, which is highly conducive for mineralization and counters any of the issues that we see in acidic environments, which usually slow down bone. So that's how it's going to change things chemically in there and make the area conducive for regeneration. And then on top of it, like I mentioned before, we've got the crystals intermixed with the bovine collagen, which then is creating a physical barrier for soft tissue downgrowth. So therefore, we're going to see fibroblastic proliferation is going to come across the top of the socket, and routinely within 2.5 weeks, that socket is epithelialized, and then the graft is really protected underneath it. So again, predictability for me, not having to worry about a membrane either coming out unwanted, and or in a situation where a technique where you're using a membrane that is non-resorbable, like a PTFE membrane, where you're going to have to come back at 4 weeks and pull that membrane. Most of the time, in my experience, what ends up happening is patient comes back at 2.5 weeks and half that membrane is flopped out, and then you're dealing with potential complication at that point. And as a general practitioner, the least amount of issues that I can create for myself, the better. I want to be able to move forward with treatment that's going to make a happier patient. It's going to make for a happier doctor and less issues to worry about.
So, OsteoGen uses bioactive crystal technology. How would you describe that?
It uses bioactive crystal technology in the fact that what it's doing, you've got a biomimetic crystal, meaning that microscopically it looks just like laminar bone. It also has a makeup that is very similar to laminar bone with the amount of phosphate that's in it and calcium that's in it. And therefore, you're starting off with a product that is very biofriendly. And then because of the way that it's manufactured and the way that it will contribute to ion exchange, that it's a product that's very conducive to the body being able to work with it. And I know that's kind of simplification of it, but really that's what it is. We're having a product that the body is going to not see as foreign and is going to break it down readily. It's going to provide our ions in the proper ratios that need to be done. For example, with calcium, one of the problems with some products is if the calcium levels are too high or too low, then that's going to affect what happens with the osteoblasts, for example. So if you have a calcium level that is too high in the area, what it's going to end up doing is it's going to end up killing off osteoblasts rather than letting them proliferate and eventually change to an osteocyte. If the level is too low, then what you end up in that situation is you have a lot of osteoblasts that come into the site, but they never get signaled to change into an adult bone cell or an osteocyte. And so you end up with essentially woven bone or an unorganized bone within that site, which again is not what we need. So the optimum is about 8 millimolar of concentration of calcium, and that has been shown to be the optimum ratio or the optimum concentration in order to encourage an osteoblast to turn into the osteocyte, which is what we need, because as soon as it becomes an osteocyte, it's now going to create a haversion system, and it's going to create a bone that is going to be a great recipient for a dental implant down the line, because the ultimate goal is that that implant needs to be placed and you need to have bone grow into the surface in order to make it successful.